loud, right? What's
Joseph,
up,
how you
man?
doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Excited to be back. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
I know. Stupid work. Why do we need jobs in this
I
freaking
don't know.
economy, bro?
When is this going to become our job?
I know, right? Well, once we get
When
a
is this going
100,000 followers, then that's when we can quit our job. Welcome to Socratic Sports, June 1st, 2024, and we are happy to be here to discuss the NBA finals that's about to happen between the Mavs and the Celtics. We got game 6 and 7 coming up for the Eastern Championship and NHL and the Western Championship. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the Euro League. Joey will who is one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to different sports, is going to give us a little background of the Euro League and discuss some picks there. So if you're interested about the Euro League, this is the place to get that information. But let's kick it off, Joey, with the NBA. And let's talk about
All right.
how did the Mavs end up in the winning the Western Conference Championship?
Okay, so I'm going to take it a little bit different direction than you expect. I
Okay.
think the Mavs won the Western when Anthony Edwards opened his mouth about Kyrie Irving and all the trash talk he did. So on a personal note, I'm not the biggest fan of trash talk. I think you need to respect your opponent and then you let your game speak for yourself. With that being said, though, if you're going to talk it, you got to back it up. Anthony Edwards. So let's go ahead and run down all 5 games. Anthony Edwards, game 1, 19 points. Irving had 30. Doncic had 33. Game 2, he had 21 points. Irving had 20. Doncic had 32. Game 3, he had 26 points. Irving had 33. Doncic had 33. Game 4, he had 29. Interestingly enough, this is the only game that they won, and Cat actually had 25 that game. Because Cat also struggled, but
he struggled.
Cat wasn't the one running his mouth. Irving had 16, so again, it makes sense that Irving's lowest scoring game is the game the Timberwolves actually won. Albeit, it was still a really close game. And then, of course, where they finally lost it all, game 5, he had 28 points. Irving and Doncic both had 36. So my point is, he never got a triple-double throughout at any of the points of the game. The most the closest he got was game 1 when he had 19 points with 11 rebounds, but only 8 assists. Where are you, Anthony Edwards? Look, I get it. 20 points, nothing to kind of stick your nose at. But this guy was averaging 30 throughout the playoffs. He wanted Kyrie, and Kyrie gave it to him.
Sure did.
Every game, Kyrie at least cracked 20, except for game 4. So that's where I think it was won for the Mavs is when Mr. Anthony Edwards just, come on, man, it's your first Western Conference Finals. You gotta go in a little bit humble, but
yeah. And and I'm gonna take the Kyrie Irving. What's the word I'm looking for? Just showed up. He's finally he's finally found his happy place. We know his history, being in Boston, being in Brooklyn. He's always being in Cleveland. He's always been that problem child for some reason. But those are the reports. And he even had a conference the other day, interview the other day. He was saying, him playing the Celtics in the finals and just thinking about the past of him being in Boston and his off court issues, family passing away, and he's just it was a tough time for him being there, and he was a kind of like a lost soul. But I think this new beginning for him in Dallas really struck a chord for him to come out and play the way that he's been playing. He only had a half a year last year to play with Luka. Now he's had a full season this year, and those two together, man. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. Just a quick finals preview is him, Kyrie and Luka versus Tatum and Brown.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the matchup to watch there. I think it's going to be a great finals. But going back to the Mavs, they didn't have an easy road to get where they're at. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, being a number 5 seed, they went through the Clippers, then they went through Thunder, and then they went through the Timberwolves. Now, granted, I think you and I, both agreed in that when we first previewed the NBA picks, this playoffs, we both, was thinking about how young Oklahoma City is, how young Minnesota is, and that the experience of them getting this far. I mean, we didn't have much high hopes for them. We knew they were good teams. I mean, they were Oklahoma City number 1, Minnesota being number 3 in the field in the seed. But to be honest, I mean, obviously we thought Denver was going to make it all the way.
Yeah, I was. They were my pick to repeat.
Yeah, we I mean, why wouldn't we pick them? But I don't think either of us expected for Dallas to be one. I mean, obviously make it to the championship, but 2, look good making it to the championship. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the biggest difference between the Mavs and the Celtics is that the Celtics way, which we're going to talk about the Celtics in a little bit, but the Celtics way to the finals. Now, you're a professional team. I'm not talking that, because I'm going to say the easy road, because the teams that Celtics have played, I mean, pretty beat up, pretty, it wasn't much of a challenge. I mean, literally sweeping teams, being, winning 4-1 or whatever it may be. They had a pretty easy going to get to the finals. I don't think there was really a challenge for them in the East. But the Mavs, like I said, I mean, you start off with the Clippers playing Kawhi and PG. Then you go to Oklahoma playing Shy. Go to Minnesota playing Ant. I mean, now, Ant didn't show up. And I get it. He's a superstar kid. He's the future, without a doubt, right? But I don't think we can sit here and put it all on Ant when you have Karl Anthony Towns, when you have Rudy Gobert. I mean, they have these. It was so. I was, as you know, I was away this weekend and I was watching a game in Jersey, and me and my brother was watching it together. My brother is into sports, but he's not like, you and I sports, where we could talk about it. But he was getting so annoyed because I was getting annoyed by it, but he voiced it. He was getting so annoyed at how Karl Anthony Towns just kept shooting these threes. Bruh, you're 7 feet tall. Yeah. You have 2 big guys. Why don't y'all both be in the paint and just dominate that? You're going against, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Derek Lively was awesome this series against Minnesota. But if you have a rookie, dominate the rookie, dude. You guys been in the league for how long? Like, show this rookie, it's not that easy. But you guys aren't. The rookie was using more of the paint than these veterans was. Yeah. And to me, that didn't make any sense at all. And so Dallas took advantage of that. And these guys, I mean, we watched game 5 together. These dudes could not miss. Like, they were, the score at halftime was just crazy. First quarter, they was blowing them out. Like, the first quarter, it was over with. Dallas came to play. Luka came to play. Kyrie came to play. And you know, they have come to play each of the series that they've played so far. And I think that's just going to continue into the championship. And I know we were joking. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if we had a time to talk about it. Maybe we did. But when Luka was just trying to have a drink, did you see that clip?
I didn't. No.
Oh, so after the win against Minnesota to clinch to the finals, Luka was with his dad in the back and like doing, you know, where the players walk through the tunnel and stuff like that. And Luka was having a drink, a beer. And Michael Finley, who's the VP of operations there and the Mavs, literally came and grabbed, like nonchalant about it, like literally no facial expression, no argument, no talk. Literally just put his hand over Luka's beer, grabbed it out, and then shook his dad's hand and walked right away. Like he's just like, bruh, like almost like that old Kobe Bryant saying, like the job is not finished. Like, hey, take it easy, you know.
Gotcha.
And so, but there, which you know, a lot of people, I was reading a lot of comments. Oh, let them have a beer, let them have fun. But I mean, like, you know, again, if you want that win mentality, if you want that Mamba mentality, the job is celebrate that beer once you have that championship raise. And so I agree. I like what Michael Finley did. It's just like, yo, like keep concentrating, keep doing your thing. And if they keep doing that, it's not straight to the top for Dallas. So yeah, I think they got here by just that Kyrie and Doncic connection. I think it's a connection that, because they're both in their prime, that's going to be a connection that's going to be around for, I'm hoping, because I think it's smart to keep them together for at least the next 5 years. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. Kyrie is definitely in his prime now, but Luka is still, I mean, he got a lot left in him. But you give them the next 5 years, if they could pull this one off, give them another one in the next 5 years, I think that's very possible with them two being together. So yeah, I think the Kyrie Luka connection is really the reason why they're where they're at right now.
Yeah, great stuff. I love that, Michael. I didn't know that. That's such a cool Michael Finley story. It actually makes me immediately think of because I agree he did the right thing. It makes me think of, you know, a sport we'll get into later on the show, which is hockey. So with hockey, when you win the East or Western Conference Finals, if you on most teams, when they bring the trophy out, the players won't touch it. Because the idea is like, this isn't the one I want. I want the next one. I don't care about, like, I'm not going to uphold and celebrate this one.
Yeah.
There used to be kind of a little bit of a myth that if you touch it, you're doomed to lose the cup.
That's like one of those superstition things. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's super statistically accurate, but it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
So that's always the question. It's like, are they going to raise it or are they not?
Yeah. All right, okay. You got more?
Sorry, just a couple of great things I wanted to touch on. One, listen, I totally agree with you. Cat needed to show up. Rudy Gobert didn't show up. I mean, the Timberwolves team didn't show up. I don't know if some of that is due to fatigue, which I do think is another interesting thing that should be in consideration. I mean, none of these players have gone, even Rudy Gobert with the Jazz, and obviously all of Cat's time in Minnesota, they've never made it this far in the playoffs. So were they tired? Maybe. But the only reason I single out Anthony Edwards is he was the one up there. Smack about Kyrie.
I agree.
So, I mean, listen, it's not like he was awful. It's just to beat Dallas, he was going to need, like, if he would have scored at least 30, 35, even like one or two of the games, I think Minnesota, I'm not saying they would have won. I think they could have forced this at least to a 6, maybe 7 game series.
Right.
But he just couldn't do it. And the last thing I'll touch on is I agree with the Kyrie thing. This is the most comfortable I've ever seen him in his career. And I think it's interesting because at least for me, a through line I feel like I've always heard throughout his career from various like sportscasters and all that is he can't play with superstars.
Yeah.
But now here he is with another bona fide superstar in Luka, and like it seems like it's going well. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just maybe it's Dallas. Maybe the fan base isn't as intense as the Celtic fan base or the Nets fan base, and maybe also when he came here there wasn't as so much pressure.
Yeah,
I feel like with the Nets when they made that big three, there was so much pressure on that team. So.
I mean, and I touched real quick before we move on to the Celtics that's a really great point because if you think about it, he got drafted with LeBron, pressure. Yeah. Went to Brooklyn, like you said, the big three, pressure, and New York and Brooklyn. That's a lot of pressure. Then he goes up to Boston. Yeah. We know how Boston fan bases are. I mean, that's just another level. Now, even though you and I both reside in Texas, in the Dallas area, you know, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, maybe I'm overshooting here, but it's, I mean, for me at least, if we have like that kind of Canadian thing, like we lost, but it's like, we lost, it's okay, like it'll be all right, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a vibe that Kyrie rose with. Like Kyrie is that like, yo, it's gonna be okay. And I don't think he's ever gotten that it's gonna be okay anywhere else. So that's a really great valid point. I'm glad you brought that up. So now to the East. So how did the Celtics get where they are, Joey?
Celtics got where they are again, and I know I keep taking like anti-point, it feels like. Celtics, again, they're really talented, got where they are because the Pacers' inability to finish games. So again, I'll run through this real quick. Game 1, Pacers have 93 points going into the fourth. Celtics have 94. And the Pacers also outscored the Celtics in the fourth. Ended up losing in overtime. Game 2 was a blowout. That Pacers weren't ready for that. Game 3, you go back to Indiana, which at that point, the Pacers were undefeated. You kept hearing it over and over again. Pacers have yet to lose at home this postseason. They have 90 points going into the fourth. Celtics have 81. Pacers have a 9-point lead. They were up by 12 at halftime. And they were up 109 to 103 with a minute 40 left in the game. And they still lose. And then last but not least, when they got swept, again, they're up 83 to 80 going into the fourth. They were in all these games except for game 2. A lot of them going into the lead in the fourth, and they couldn't close it. I'm going to probably chalk that up to inexperience. Yes, Tyrese Halliburton was out for most of the series. If he was in, I don't think that makes a difference. I think the Celtics still win. So a lot of it probably is inexperience. The Celtics have been here before, but I mean, they should have won at least one of those games. This should not have been a sweep. But that's what I would say.
Yeah. And you know, totally, yeah, I agree with you there. And you know, the Pacers 6 seed, correct?
Yeah, a 6
yeah
seed.
So if the Pacers, I mean, they played great against New York. New York unfortunately suffered a lot of injuries, but I think, you know, I'll toss it up to 2 points. One is Boston. I think the schedule that they got dealt, or the seedings that they got dealt. I mean, obviously they went 64 and whatever they were, something stupid, 64 wins this season, being the number 1 seed. And you know, again, facing an 8 seed, facing a lot of the lower seeds to get to this point really helped them out a lot. I mean, if you look at it, they played the Miami series and then the Cleveland series. I mean, both times they lost game 2 at home. And you would think like, oh, but then as soon as they went back on the road, they nipped it in the bud. They won both games at, you know, Miami's home and then Cleveland's home. They swept the Pacers. And so, yeah, it's just been like an easy-go-lucky for them to get where they are. But then also, I will also go back towards, like I mentioned, the Knicks. I think that now I'm not saying that if they played the Knicks, they would have lost, they wouldn't be here. No, what I'm saying is I think the Knicks would have been their biggest threat to get where they are. Because again, not only was the Knicks playing really good basketball. But now you have to go into Madison Square Garden and play with that crowd against Boston. It's like a rivalry. That would have been an awesome series to see if it happened. I think that would have been a huge advantage for New York to get it. Now I think and I think that series would have went a little bit longer than a sweep. But again, with the injuries and everything that happened, it lined up perfect for Boston to be in this situation. I mean, you don't expect anything else. I mean, if you look at the statistics for points for each of the series, it was either Tatum or Brown at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And they were dominating. And so that's what I'm saying. If you look at the Mavs Minnesota series, the same there. I mean, at the top of that list would be Luka or Kyrie. And so that's why I mentioned earlier, when we go into this, I think this series is going to be a good series, finals. But it is what two dynamic players can do this. Can Tatum and Brown continue this 1-2 punch against another 1-2 punch in Kyrie and Luka? But Boston, they just had luck of the draw. They didn't have to really grind through anything. They have a lot of rest. This gives times for Kristaps Porzingis to come back and play, because I think they will need a tall big. And that's even something kind of I don't know if it really mattered if Kristaps would play or not, if it if it would have made a difference as far as like if they would have not lost any of the games and just swept through the whole thing without having a big. But yeah, I think Boston, not to take anything away, I just think they just had an easy-go-lucky way to get where they are, and good for them. They didn't get. I will say they didn't give into, okay, we're facing the 8 seed, or we facing the 6 seed, or we facing the 4 seed, whatever. Like, this is a walk in the park. Let's just go. No, they went in and they were playing like they were playing the 2 seeds. They went in there and they dominated. And so kudos to them for not putting what seed they're facing, like, oh, we can take it easy tonight. Like those thoughts didn't enter their mind. They was playing these games like this was, they were playing a top tier opponent. And like I said, good job to them for keeping that up. So
yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. So Boston went 64-18.
Oh, 18. Okay.
The crazier thing to me is the New York Knicks, who were the 2 seed, went 50-32. The Mavericks, that were the 5th seed in the West, were 50-32.
Yeah.
So just the disparity is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, it's not like they're bad teams, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that Boston didn't get the easier draw being in the East.
Yeah.
And then the other point is, I mean, your stars show up. I mean, this is the time where your stars need to show up. That was, another thing that doomed the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Is, at some point, I mean, it's great to have role players and you want your role players to be good, but when it comes down to it, your stars need to be your stars. And, for the Mavericks and the Celtics, that's what you've been getting. So,
yeah,
I guess ultimately it does make sense that those are the 2 teams left standing. So.
All right. So now, Joseph, let's get into, now that we're at the NBA Finals, and like we mentioned, we have the Mavs versus the Celtics. But obviously we had other teams that didn't get to make it this far. And let's I mean, whether if it's even the Mavs or the Celtics, let's talk about our biggest disappointment and biggest surprises going into leading to the NBA Finals.
Yeah. So biggest surprise, I mean, I'll kind of mention already just how good, not just how good the Mavs have been, but how they're getting better, like you mentioned.
Mm.
Like every series, they continue to get better, which I did not expect. You know, I thought I thought the Timberwolves probably were going to win this series. I definitely did not think they would be dominated the way that the Mavs did. So that's my biggest surprise, is just, you know, Luka and Kyrie hitting another level right at the right time. You know, I won't take credit for this, but I was listening. I saw a clip from the McAfee show, and Austin Rivers was on it, and he made a good point, which I thought was accurate. Was because, you know, the Mavs feel like that college basketball team that they do well all season, but they're kind of middle of the pack, and then they hit the NCAA tournament and they just go on a tear, and they click right at the right time. And he goes, "That's what the Mavs feel like." I agree. Like, that's what the Mavs feel like right now. Not saying I'm picking them to win. Not saying I'm not picking them to win. But yeah, that would be my biggest surprise. Is just, yeah, they just hit another level.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I know we just I mean, well, not we, but you kind of just not crap, but, you know, talked a little bit about, you know, Anthony Edwards and all that stuff like that. But I will say the Timberwolves were my biggest surprises so far. I mean, again, they went through the Suns, and not just went through. I mean, you talk about swept them, and then they was able to hold on 7 against the Nuggets. Like, go into Denver and win on their turf. And I mean, unfortunately, like we just discussed with the Mavs, they didn't make it to the finals, but to make it to the conference finals, again, they're going against, starting off with Durant and Booker and Beal, and then, you know, the MVP of the league in the second round, going against Murray, going against a well-constructed team in Denver, and just to, you know, show up. And you know what? Yeah, I get it. Like, Anthony Edwards should have held back a little bit. I like confidence. He was a little overconfident. And, you know, I think that took a lot of energy out of him. And I'm going to keep using that Mamba mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be the best, if you want to be the best in the world, if you want to win, you know, sometimes, you know, Kobe didn't, you know, he didn't go out there and it's like, you know, he was a trash talker without a doubt, but he didn't go to these interviews and sit there. No, his mindset was to talk about the game and how his team can get where they need to go and what they need to do. It wasn't about, oh, I'm going to go out there and shut Kyrie down, or I'm going to go out there and do this and do that and watch what's going to happen. No, but because I think even doing that is exhausting. You know, you worrying about all this talking and all this chatter and all this stuff like that. Like, that is mentally exhausting. You have to save that energy for the court. And so, yeah, I think that's where, because I think, again, being a little excited to be in the conference finals, almost your chance to be into the NBA finals, you get a little excited. And he's a young kid, and I get it. But I won't let that overshadow the fact that, again, going through the Suns and the Nuggets to place the Mavs, I think that was a good start to something that can be great later on. So kudos to Minnesota to getting this far. And I will say also that I did hear something really interesting, which I think is great. I was watching Matt Barnes and I forgot the other guy's name. They have a podcast together.
Well, no, the other guy.
They had KG on. It's All the Smoke. It's a podcast called All the Smoke. And I'm catching a brain fart right now. But let me look at it real quick. But anyway, they had KG on, and they asked him, so hey, like depending on what happened, obviously, for the
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, there you go. And they were asking KG was asking them like, yo, like next, like the off season, if they don't make it past the Mavs, like, do we think about trading Rudy Gobert? And they both, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, both was like, we trading Cat. And I was just like, wait, what?
Really?
Yeah, they said we're going with Cat because if you think about it, the contract that Rudy got, like nobody is taking that out, even though he's the defensive player of the year. Nobody is taking that because, obviously, you want a superstar who can score. But, keep the defensive player. Yeah, you got that. But if you trade Cat and get another superstar, somebody who, can. Let me tell you, again, we talked about that, and this could be a little rant. Like I mentioned earlier, Cat kept shooting all these threes. Bro, take it to the rim. You got Anthony Edwards. He shoots threes, yes, and shoots jumpers. But if this dude go to the rim, he is unstoppable. And the kid and Cat Williams is almost twice his size, and he doesn't even go to the rim like that. Like, bro, you got this little guard going to the rim more. Yeah,
I don't think Cat Williams plays basketball.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Cat.
Isn't he a very small man?
Yeah. No, because his nickname is Cat, and so I don't know why I kept saying Cat Williams.
You see Cat Williams out there with like the little cane walking around. Hey.
Yeah. But Karl Anthony Towns, like he should have been going to the rim a lot more. But again, like I said, if you trade Karl Anthony Towns and get another superstar and something with it, I think Minnesota is still lined up to do something great next year. So that was just a little side note. Just to say that, Minnesota really surprised me. So, and to your disappointment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it simple. The fact that the Pacers got swept.
Okay.
I mean, I thought they would take at least one at their home court. I understand they didn't have Tyrese Halliburton for most of the series, but I mean, come on. I mean, you got to win at least one.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree with that too. I wasn't sure which direction to go because I just did the West, if I should go to the East and vice versa, but I'm not. I'm going to stay in the West, and I'm just going to call it out the Nuggets. I don't know what it was against Minnesota. They're a young team. You had your opportunity to go back to the conference finals and possibly the NBA finals, and they didn't show up at all. I mean, the first two games, it just started off rough for them. And I don't know if they underestimated the Wolves. Because I mean, when they faced the Lakers, they went through the Lakers, and then you go into the Nuggets. You go against a Wolves team who, they just went through the Suns, but they're still this young team against a veteran team, and the Nuggets just didn't show up. I was going to go for the Knicks at first as my disappointment, but again, they did have a lot of injuries. Some that you seen Brunson playing his butt off, and he just got hurt. Randall got hurt. I mean, everybody was just going down on the Knicks, and so like, what do you expect? So the Nuggets being healthy and there, and again, they just didn't show up when it was most important, which is really surprising to see. That's why it was disappointing. Just going with the Nuggets. And last but not least, Mavs Celtics. Who you got, Joey?
So I did want to pick the Mavs because I think it'd be cool for Luka and Kyrie to win.
Yeah.
But I think this Celtics team is overdue. I think Tatum's overdue and Brown are overdue. And I think the Celtics take it in 6.
So I have the Mavs in 6.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Kyrie and Luka keep doing their thing. And I'm not saying Brown and Tatum aren't. I think it's gonna go back and forth. But I think the bigs are gonna play a lot more. I was watching this series against Minnesota and watching Lively and Derrick Jones Jr. like just own the paint, and their outside perimeter shooting has been great. I think Mavs winning 6 at home, and we get a celebration here in Texas for the Mavs winning. So we'll see. We'll see who pulls it out. That'd be good. All right, on to the NHL. We have Game 6 tonight. Rangers, Panthers. And then Game 6 tomorrow. Oilers Stars. So yeah, Joey, we start with the Rangers Panthers? Where do we see happening tonight? Will there be a possible Game 7? What does the future Joey see?
So I do think the Panthers finish it tonight. Okay. I think the Panthers have all the momentum. Again, I'll run down. Panthers, the only game the Rangers, actually, no, Rangers never, so let's just double check. I take that back. The only game the Rangers outshot the Panthers
I knew that's what you
was Game 2, and it was only, they had 30 shots, Panthers had 27. Rangers did win that game. Other than that, Game 1, Panthers had 27 shots, Rangers had 24. Game 3, interestingly enough, which was a loss for the Panthers, they had 37 shots, Rangers had 23. Game 4, the Panthers had 40 shots to the Rangers 23. And then last but not least, Game 5, Panthers had 37 shots, Rangers had 27. Again, it just seems like the Panthers, as this series go on, just continue to create more offensive firepower than the Rangers. And if you even just watch the games, it just feels like the Panthers are always on the offensive tack. They're always on the forecheck, it seems like. I mean, hats off to Igor. Honestly, this probably would be a sweep if it wasn't for him. And I think, again, I think the Panthers don't want this to go to a Game 7. I don't think they want to go back to MSG. Yeah. They don't want to give the Rangers any hope. So I think they stomp them out tonight. It's really interesting.
I think got my boys on. I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Sorry, man, you're cutting it a little in and out on my end.
Oh, okay. Am I good?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
So the last thing I heard was obviously you got your boys.
Yeah, I got my boys on. I'm pushing for a Game 6. Game 7. And so I'll say it like this: Game 7 will happen only if Panarin shows up.
Okay.
He's been our facilitator. He's been he's our guy, he can score on his own, and he can get others involved. And we need that. We've come out flat a few games. We haven't really attacked. Like, we need to, this Game 6, we need to be bullies. Like, we really do. And we need to keep that going the whole entire game, to force that Game 7. We also need, one of the things we're lacking a lot is power plays. I mean, I don't know what it is, but we just, like, I was talking this yesterday to one of our colleagues, like how, on our power plays, we look like we're playing hot potato out there. Like, no one is attacking these power plays and trying to make something happen. We are getting the opportunities. We're just not taking advantage of it. And we need to do that.
And that shows in the lack of shots. I mean, the old adage is always true. Like, you can't score if you don't even shoot. Like, you have to shoot. And that's what the Panthers are doing. And that's kind of what the Rangers, for some reason, are just not.
Yeah. And what's
doing as
funny
much
is that,
of.
yeah, and I saw something earlier. It was saying like how we've the Rangers have had in the playoffs the best it was they call it the extra skater advantage. Like we've had the most like 5-4 or 4-3 or whatever you want it
Yeah.
is. Like we've had the most times with an extra skater on there, but we haven't done. We've struggled to score and take advantage of that, and we need to. I think yeah, Panarin coming up. I mean, and then you know Igor has been great. I call him Igor because you know he has an I in his name. But Igor has been he's been great. He's been doing everything that he can, so we can't hold that against him. But you know, again, we need Panarin to show up, and I think that's how Game 7 happens if that happens. And I'm thinking he will. I'm thinking this is we're gonna come out and we're gonna do it. I think Game 7 back in MSG. Yeah, I think we got this. I'm gonna believe in my boys that we're gonna be there Monday. You and I gonna be texting on Monday that we did it. All right. So but we'll see. So and then what do you got in the West? Oilers Stars. You think it ends tomorrow for the Oilers? Oh,
So
for the Stars?
I don't. I do
Okay.
think that one goes to a Game 7.
Okay.
I'm still gonna roll with the Oilers to finish it in Game 7.
Okay.
They've been my
Oh,
pick.
so you think
I'm gonna
they will finish Game
the
7
win,
in
but it's
Dallas? I mean,
yes, I do. Yeah,
oh, okay.
and really the only reason is the Stars have actually been the best road team in this playoffs. They're 6-2 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It does concern me how the last two games, basically after the first period of Game 4, the Stars have they've just looked really flat. Again, they have zero energy. But with that being said, I think they pick it up one more time and force a Game 7. So yeah, but then the Oilers will come back to D-Town, and I think we'll finish them off. Hopefully, they're both good games. Because that's the interesting thing about this series is, I mean, it's more or less been blowouts aside from that OT game. And right now, I mean, it's the Oilers just piling it on. Like, again, you know, we talked about this with the NBA. It's the same true for hockey. Like, the stars for the Oilers are showing up right now. You know, no pun intended, but the stars for the Dallas Stars, I mean, aside from Robertson's hat trick, they're just not there. Like, Duchesne's not doing anything. Sagan's not really doing anything. Yeah, I mean, Wyatt Johnson's up and down.
But Wyatt has been their best player probably. Even though he's been up and down.
But he can't do it all. Like, you know,
yeah,
but with that being said, I mean, you got
that's true.
Zach Hyman's been playing well. McDavid's been turning on to another level. Nugent Hopkins started coming on last game. He got the first 2 goals. So Stuart Skinner is, you know, ever since, you know, being replaced in round 2 and then being brought back, he seems to have found his rhythm again in net. So stick with the Oilers, but yes, I do think the Stars force a Game 7.
Okay. I do hope that it is a Game 7, and I do hope the Stars pull it out. Because, you know, obviously, because I want the Rangers to pull it out, and it'd be cool to have Rangers, Dallas here. That'd be super cool to see. But I think it ends tomorrow. I think the Oilers win to get to the Stanley Cup. So yeah, and again, and it's just all from what I saw last game yesterday. You know, it was just like, what's going on, Dallas? Like, they look, I mean, in their own home, they look so flat. Like, there was no, like, so I've been to, I was lucky enough last year to go to a Rangers Stars game. And I mean, we both been to hockey games, dude. And I've told you this. That was my first hockey game. Hockey game in person was probably one of the best sports experiences I've ever had going to a stadium. It was electric. It was fun. The crowd was just engaged. It was just amazing. You thought it was a playoff game, and it was just a regular season game. It was absolutely amazing. Now, in playoff format, that intensity just gets raised higher. And when you have that, why wouldn't you feed off that? And that last game, it did not look like Dallas. It looked like Dallas was on the road. Like, it looked like the Stars was not even at home. They looked so flat. They like that energy from the crowd. It was just like it wasn't even there. Like the crowd was there, but it was like the team didn't even feel it. And if you play like that at home, what makes you think that you're going to do that on the road? And you know, again, but they could just easily turn it around and come back and play well tomorrow. And I could be totally wrong here, but as of right now, I'm just going by what I saw yesterday, and it was not a good look. You know, to your point, I think, but you know, like you said, when Skinner got pulled, now he's back. But I think that if Skinner could do what he did yesterday, tomorrow, without a doubt, the Oilers have this series. Because he just looked amazing yesterday. And you know, Johnston needs to come out and continue to. Now I know to your point, he's not the only player on there. He's not, but unfortunately, he is the only player that's actually like doing something. And so if that's the case, you need to feed him that puck. He needs to make some goals. He needs to get his team involved. He needs to, you know, I mean, even for them, because I was talking about us with the power plays, they've struggled with the power plays also.
Yeah.
And so they need to start getting that rolling. You know, I'm about to say Boston. Dallas has just about everything they need to make this happen. I just think and the only reason I'm saying this is because I noticed it with the Rangers. They just need like a little fire under their butt to get them going. They need to get some kind of chemistry together. They just need to remember how they got to where they are right now. And it seems like they've forgotten that. Again, they just need to get the puck around, find the open man, get some shorthanded goals. They just need to do some magic to win. I think it's going to take a lot more effort for them to get to Game 7. But if they can make that effort happen, then like I said, I could see Game 7 and then them winning Game 7. But again, the way that Skinner is playing, the way that Connor is playing, it looks like it's in the stars for the. Well, that's funny. It looks like it's in the stars for the Oilers to get there. but yeah, I think a lot needs to happen. But again, so to wrap it up, I am taking Rangers Oilers. I'm taking Rangers to finish Game 7. I'm taking Oilers to win tomorrow. And then you're taking.
I'm taking Panthers to finish tonight.
Finish,
I'm taking Stars to force Game 7.
Force Game 7.
The Oilers will
win.
finish off. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I'll stick with them.
Yep. So. All right. So cool. So those are our picks for Game 6, Game 7. And then obviously our next podcast we'll reveal what happened. And then on to something really cool that I think we're gonna start. And maybe we insert something right here, like you remember those old PBS things and they had like the little rainbow thing that's like knowledge. Yeah. So maybe you put something like that right here. Right now we're gonna have a knowledge, a sports knowledge, a couple of minutes from Joey as he wanted to talk about the Euro League. I'm sure we have some viewers that don't know anything about the Euro League, what's going on, soccer league. And Joey is going to run down some points, and he's going to pull up a bracket to show us what it looks like and make some picks. And again, this picks is just for entertainment to see how well Joey knows what he's talking about in this Euro League, to see how close he can get to picking a champion. So throw it to you, Joey. Let's shoot us some knowledge about the Euro League.
All right. So super excited for this one. Almost forgot. And then I was in Jersey and I got an update talking about, Euro's getting ready to kick off. Get ready. Here are the squads, etc. So the UEFA Euro Championship. It has been around. It was founded in 1958. And it's only grown. Originally it started with like 8 countries participating in it. Eventually went to 16. Now it's up to 24 European countries participating in it. It happens every 4 years, like the Olympics or like the World Cup. It is the second most watched soccer tournament or football tournament in the world, right behind the Men's World Cup. So it's a big deal. What it is it's all of most of the European countries facing off in a tournament style, just like the World Cup. There's groups. Top 2 advance out of the group. For the Euro, since it is limited countries, because obviously you don't have South America as part of it, Asia, North America, it's just Europe. They have a few less groups, so it's the top 2 advance, and then 4 third-place teams move on. So if you finish third, you got a chance. And interestingly enough, a third-place team won it all in 2016 with Portugal. Super cool. One of the coolest things about it is Europe is more or less the dominant soccer area of the world, with the exception of Brazil and Argentina. Every World Cup champion, except for Brazil and Argentina, has been European. So Italy, England, Germany, France, Spain. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, those generally are the most dominant teams. So the Euro is a very competitive tournament. The other thing that's pretty cool about this one is it's going to run simultaneously with another tournament that's actually happening here in America. They're actually playing some games at Cowboys Stadium, which I'm excited about. But it's going to be all the North American countries against the South American countries. So like US is in it, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and they're playing in the same tournament style. But the winner of the Euro and the winner of that tournament will actually play each other next summer. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a preview of the World Cup. So with that being said, I, of course, am super into it because you get to create brackets. So I went ahead and created a bracket. This one is in Germany. So obviously, European Championship has to happen in a European country. Germany is the host this year. I'm going to share my screen. Yay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
All right, this will also give us a chance to go through the teams. So in Group A, we have Germany, Hungary, Switzerland, and Scotland. I picked Germany to advance. Germany's Germany. Yeah. Germany's Germany. You can't count them out, especially playing on home soil. I know they've kind of underwhelmed in the past 2 World Cups. Have failed to make it out of the group stage. But that was an older team. This team it's more filled with youth. It's rejuvenated. And also, they're not in a tough group. Switzerland, you never know what you're going to get with them. Scotland, I don't expect much from. Hungary's an interesting one. They actually kind of cruised through their qualifiers and topped their group, which was surprising. So that's why I picked them to get second in that group. But honestly, I expect Germany to win all 3 games. Maybe a draw against Hungary or Switzerland. That was a pretty easy pick for me. So your next group, you've got this one they're calling the group of death. You've got Croatia, Spain, Italy, Albania. So this was very hard for me to pick against Italia, but I don't. Even though they're actually currently the defending European champions, they won 3 years ago. I don't. They struggled in qualifiers. I don't know what their starting 11 is going to look like. And on the flip side of that, I think Croatia, this is their last. This feels kind of like their last big run with their star players like Luka Modric. They're on the older side, but I think they got kind of one more push into them. And they're the opposite of Germany in the sense of they have excelled in the past 2 World Cups. Made it to the finals in 2018 and then almost made it to the semifinals in 2022. So I do think they're going to pull a surprise and top this group. I have Spain coming second, Italy third, and then poor Albania coming in fourth.
I mean, I did look at because obviously I'm not too knowledgeable about this, but when I did do some research, if I'm not mistaken, did Italy win in 2020?
Yeah, they won the last European. So it was 2020, but it took place in 2021 because of COVID. They are the defending champions.
That's okay.
But the tough part with Italy is they didn't even qualify a year later for the 2022 World Cup. So I don't know what I'm going to get with Italy. Would with the group they're in.
So I don't know if you know this, but would it be a different bound? Like, is it a different atmosphere from a World Cup to a Euro League? Like, would Italy play better in a Euro League instead of a World Cup?
It's possible. Well, here's my thing with Italy is when they're in the tournament, they tend to do decently, but they haven't been they just straight up haven't been qualifying for World Cups, which is crazy. They missed it in 2018 and they missed it in 2022. Obviously, with the European Championship, you have far less countries to choose from, so it's easier to qualify. And they did win it, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't. They're not the Italy of the 1900s, or even of the 06 one, which is the last one to win a World Cup. They're not as feared as they used to be. And ultimately, this came down to the group. I mean, this is a tough group, and I could see them losing to Spain. I could see them losing to Croatia, even if they just tie with one of those. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be enough. So that's why I went with that for that group. And then you go to Group C. With I got England topping it. England, they are that team that they've been right there for so long. They made it to the championship Euro 3 years ago, lost to Italy in penalties. Obviously, they've done very well in the past World Cups. This feels like a group that is right there. And there's a championship coming at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this year. And their group, Serbia is better than people think. Slovenia, I don't expect anything from. However, with that being said, I do have Denmark coming in second. So they had this player, Erik Christensen, who was a pretty sad story. The last Euro, their first match, they were playing Finland-Denmark, and he actually collapsed with cardiac arrest.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and it took him almost 2 years to get back out on the pitch. But Denmark actually went all the way to the semifinals. So Denmark is a strong squad in tournaments. And I think it's Eriksson coming back. That's going to be a big boost and kind of a heartwarming thing. So I do think they'll get second in that group. Then you got Group D. So this one was very hard because you've got France, who won the World Cup in 2018, made it all the way to the finals in 2022, lost in heartbreaking fashion if you're a France fan on PKs. But then you got the Netherlands, man. And the Netherlands, again, same thing. While they've never won a World Cup, they tend to be very dominant on the national stage. They made it all the way to the World Cup final in 2010 and lost to Spain. Made it back to the semifinals in 2014. And this is a good Netherlands team. This is, again, kind of a young team, but all outstanding players. So I do have them topping this group. And I have France coming in second. Austria is another one. I mean, they have this player named David Alaba, probably one of the best defenders in the world, but one guy out of a starting 11 he's good, but he's not good enough to carry Austria to like a second or first place finish in the group. And then Poland, I mean, yeah, you still got Lewandowski. He's really old though, and Poland really doesn't have much outside of him. So I do have them finishing.
Outside of an old man, they don't have anything else.
I mean, I'd say old. I think he's like in his mid-30s, but look, at one point he was the greatest striker in the world. It's just, it happens to us all. It's okay. Yeah. So I have them coming in last in that group. All right, Group E. So this one gets interesting. I do have Belgium topping this group, which I'm going to come back to Belgium in a second. I went with Ukraine coming in second. And I literally just went with Ukraine because, everything going on with that country. One, I'm actually kind of shocked that they're in a soccer tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's pretty heartwarming. I think they'll use a lot of that to push forward. So I do have them coming out of this group. It was hard to pick against Romania because Romania is another one that came out of qualifiers very strong. Looked very dominant. But again, I think the kind of emotional aspect of Ukraine, I think if you're not from any of these countries, Ukraine is going to be an easy team to kind of pull for. So I do think they get second in that group, and then Slovakia will kind of pick up the end. Again, Slovakia, don't expect much from them. Last but not least, Group F. So this is my upset group. And I'm going with Turkey to top this group.
That's how you spell turkey?
Apparently, I've never seen it spelled like that, but apparently, I'm going with Turkey to top this group. I think they shock Portugal. I think they shock the Czech Republic, and then Georgia's just. This is the first time Georgia's ever qualified for this tournament, so they're just happy to be there. Although I don't know, that's what everybody said about Iceland in 2016, and Iceland shocked everybody, advanced out of the group stage, and upset England in the knockout stage, but then lost to France 5-2 in the quarterfinals. This was a hard group, though, because Czech Republic, if you want like a dark horse, I think the Czech Republic is a team to look at. They've been pretty strong in the Euros, especially the last one. They actually had the top scorer in the tournament, who was Patrick Schick. He actually tied Ronaldo for the most goals in that tournament, and they went decently far. So, he plays very well at a club level. He plays for a club in Germany that actually just got done 2 weeks ago winning the Bundesliga. So he's a really good player that I think could carry them far. But again, the group they're in, I think Portugal still has enough talent to advance. So that's why I got them coming in second. But I think, there's always one upset in these major tournaments, like the World Cup or the Euro. I think this is the group with it. So I'm going to roll with Turkey at number 1. So those are my groups. Mr. Carlos, did you have any comments, questions, concerns, commentary?
No,
Maybe you
no
want to make
comments.
fun of it?
No. I think this was a great breakdown. What did you say? Who's your
I'm
winner?
about to get to that. I'm about to get to that. There's a whole part below this where it goes into the knockout.
No, hey, you keep it going, buddy.
Okay.
You keep it going.
but that's just kind of my overview. Again, it also shows everybody the teams that are going to be in it. Not really any notable European countries that didn't make it. Kind of your heavyweights are there. Your Germany, your Spain, your Italy, your England, your France. Kind of surprised neither of the Irish countries made it, neither Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland. But it's also cool because you got, like I said, you got some newcomers like Georgia, so that's always cool to see. All right, so who does Joey think is going to win it all? So first, we got to go through my third place teams. So I think the top 4 third place teams that will end up advancing the knockout round, you got Switzerland, Italy, Serbia, and the Czech Republic. So again, because it's a smaller format, you can come in third place and still make it to the knockout round. So that's kind of cool. Here we go. So that lines up. I've got Croatia meeting Switzerland, Germany meeting Denmark, Serbia meeting Turkey. So I do have Croatia. I think they will beat Switzerland. Again, Switzerland always has a tendency to play tough in these tournaments, but what will usually happen is they'll make it to the knockout round and then usually exit in the round of 16. And I think that happens again. Maybe it goes to PKs, maybe not. But I got Croatia beating them. Germany, I think, will easily handle Denmark. Again, they're on home soil. They're a really strong German team. And it's been a while since they've been viewed as a powerhouse on the world stage. So I think they'll take out Denmark in regular time. I do have Serbia beating Turkey. So as cool as it would be to see Turkey top the group, I think the magic runs out against Serbia. I have Germany beating Croatia, which would bring them to the semifinals, which I do have them beating France. So I have Germany all the way in the final.
So you got the home team
in the final. I've got France beating Ukraine. Again, Ukraine, cool story. But like kind of the reoccurring theme of this episode's been, when you go up against the stars tend to show up. France just has way too much star power for a team like Ukraine. Same with Germany, same with a lot of these teams you see advancing. So same thing. I think France goes on to beat Serbia, which then matches them up with Germany, which I have Germany beating France. All right, so then I am picking Belgium to beat my Italy. Again, I just don't know what to expect from Italy. I mean, I even have them barely getting into the knockout round as a third place team. And I think the luck runs out against Belgium. And then I have Belgium actually advancing all the way to the semifinals. And they get there by beating the Netherlands, which I have the Netherlands beating Portugal. Again, I think this is a very strong Netherlands team. But when they go up against Belgium, I do have them losing to Belgium. Again, Belgium, like Croatia, they're kind of coming to the end. You have Lukaku's old. De Bruyne is old. I don't even know if they're going to have their keeper. I know I'm going to mess up his name, but it's like Courtier, something like that. Arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. I don't even know if they're going to have him this tournament. He's dealing with injury. So despite all that, I think the players know that this is kind of their last ride. And I think they'll show up a decent amount, enough to take them to the semifinals. So I will take Belgium over the Netherlands. And they will meet England in the semifinals. And I have England getting there because they start off with beating the Czech Republic. Again, I am a believer in the Czech Republic, but if they would have met any other country aside from England or like maybe Germany, I actually probably would have had the Czech Republic advancing out of the first round. But because it's England, I don't see it happening. So England takes down the Czechs. And they will meet Spain. And Spain got there by beating Hungary. And again, I think England takes down Spain. I know a lot of people like this Spanish team. Again, Spain is another team that there was a stretch from 08 to 2012 where they won the 2008 Euro, then they won the 2010 World Cup, and then they won the 2012 Euro. So like Spain for, what was that, 4 years just dominated, world soccer more or less. And they've people feel like they're building back up to that, but I don't see them beating England. So I do have England advancing, which gives me the semifinal of England and Belgium, which I do have England winning this. And this is where I'll kind of go on my little Belgium rant. So there is this idea about Belgium that was been floating around since probably 2010. They talked about this Belgium team and they kept referring to them as like this golden generation because they had people like Lukaku and they had people like De Bruyne and Courtois. Like they were supposed to bring Belgium to the forefront of international football, because Belgium's it's a really small country. So I guess the fact that all these superstars came out of this really small country was just surprising, and it never happens. And something that always frustrated me with it is if you don't get to be referred to as the golden generation when you haven't even made it to a final. Like they never made it to a European final. They never made it to a World Cup final. Closest they came were the semifinals in 2014. Like you haven't won anything. How are you considered the golden generation? That was my side piece on Belgium. Like, I don't like Belgium just for that reason. Like, you don't get to be the golden generation if you haven't won anything. And with that being said, I think this tournament continues that trend. And I think they lose to England. And hopefully I never have to hear about the golden generation that never was. It's like those super teams that you get, these super teams in the NBA or football or like whatever sport, and they're already crowning them champions. I'm like, yo, they haven't done anything yet. That's Belgium football for you. But with that being said, I have them losing to England, which gives me the final of England and Germany. I am taking England. And this was a hard pick because, again, Germany is at home. They're going to have all the energy in the world. But I think this is finally England's time. It was a heartbreaking loss because the other crazier part about England losing the last European Championship is it was in England. So they lost it on penalty kicks in Wembley Stadium. There's this crazy story because it was during 2021 and England still had a pretty good amount of like COVID restrictions. So like they couldn't pack the stadium out to capacity, except like before the game started, all these people rushed the stadium because they wanted to get in. So if you watch it on TV, it is packed out because all these people just rushed into the stadium. And England still lost. I think they finally find redemption. I think they have one of the best starting 11s. I think they have a very strong, there's superstars all around that team. And you got my boy Harry Kane. Grealish is really good. Harry Maguire is still playing well, even at 31. Trippier. This feels like England's time. So I'm going with England to hold the trophy come mid-July.
And when does this tournament start?
Starts June 14th, which is a Friday. So not next Friday, but the next following.
Cool. Well, Joey, thank you for your amazing insight on the EuroLeague, the UEFA Cup coming in Germany, and you have England winning against Germany.
Against Germany, yeah.
So if anyone from Germany is watching this, he does not speak for both of us, so don't be mad at us that he picks against the.
But no, that was the Germans. No, not this year. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Next 4 years, or maybe the next World Cup. But not yet. Yeah. England isn't done yet.
Well, like I said, that was super informative, Joey. Thank you for doing that. And hopefully our viewers was able to get some knowledge on the Euro League and just on soccer in general and what's going on in the Euro in the European countries. So yeah, that was awesome, man. And again, we thank you guys for watching. We're gonna close it out. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. You can find us on Instagram, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, and just thank you guys for checking us out. Until next time, Joey. Peace.
Peace.
It's the best show you're not watching.